Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we are doing another 5 moments in Doctor Who that make me fist punch the air. That I get another 5 moments that I just love so much. They just get the old dopamine going, get me fired up, get me smiling and excited and happy. Just 5 moments in Doctor Who that I love. Not necessarily the top 5, just 5 random moments I really love in Doctor Who. Now this is of course the second list. The first list I did recently, which I don't know, maybe I'll remember to put a little thing up here. If not, I'll try to remember to put a thing at the end of the video, where I talked about 5 moments I really liked in Doctor Who. So here's another 5 that I just adore. And Doctor Who is such a long-running series, it's easy to find moments that just get you fired up and excited, and you just love going back and rewatching. And we're going to start with some Peter Capaldi. That'll make some Capaldi fans happy. And we are definitely doing the I do what I do because it's right speech from The Doctor Falls. I love that speech. Man, can Moffat write a speech. And man, can Smith and Capaldi both deliver speeches. Oh, Capaldi is such a good actor. My complaints with the 12th Doctor have never been Capaldi's acting. I have just fundamental issues with his Doctor. But Capaldi is definitely one of the best actors to ever play the role. He just... Man, I wonder sometimes after a take what he does to cool down and detach himself from that. Because he just is on fire in this speech. This is one of those speeches where you see the core character of the Doctor and everything that the Doctor is and who he is right there in that speech. I don't do it because I'm trying to beat somebody. I don't do it because it's fast. I certainly don't do it because it's easy, and I certainly don't do it because it works, because it hardly ever does. I do what I do because it's right, because it's decent, and above all, it's kind. That is an amazing speech, the way he delivers it, and it goes to show exactly why the Doctor does what he does and his motivations. Where I stand is where I fall. That whole bit is just beautiful to watch, and part of it is because the dialogue is written so wonderfully, and part of it is because Capaldi delivers it perfectly. It is one of the best moments in Doctor Who. It fundamentally tells you who this person is and why he does what he does, and it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Next up is, of course, the first Doctor's famous "One Day I Will Come Back" speech from the end of the Dalek Invasion of Earth, which I actually got to watch for the first time recently. Now that speech, that scene, I had seen many times over the years. I had heard the lines many times over the years. A lot of fans like to put it, in some of their YouTube trailers, some of which are amazing. Last Whovian trailers has some good ones. TARDIS Elliott trailers has some really good ones. And they'll incorporate footage of that or the audio from that into their trailers sometimes. It is, I think, the first Doctor's most iconic speech. It's wonderful. It's a great speech, especially considering it's his granddaughter that's leaving, the first companion departure. And seeing it in context with the story just adds more to it. There's just this air of awe that I hold that scene in. I mean, everything, not just that one part of the speech, but that whole scene is phenomenal. When he's like, when he closes the door so she can't get in, he's like, now step back so I can see you. And he talks about how your future is with David. I want you to have roots. And then, of course, when he actually goes into the speech, it's such a beautiful speech. One day I will come back. Yes, I will come back. It's wonderful. It's mesmerizing. I absolutely adore it. And prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. Goodbye, Susan. Goodbye, my dear. And how he just leaves on that, and you see her kind of walk up where the TARDIS was, almost like she can't believe that it's gone and that he is gone, and she's going to have to adjust to that, to her new life, and that the Doctor was putting her first and giving her the life that she wanted and that he knew was good for her. It's such a touching scene, and to see just how far the first Doctor's come since we met him a long time. It all started out a long time ago in an old junkyard. I love that. I love that scene. It's iconic for a reason. It's a wonderful, wonderful speech. And it's nice that I actually got to see it in context of the whole story. Next on the list is probably the most underrated Doctor speech in all of Doctor Who. I have a whole video just about this speech. I absolutely adore it, and that is the 7th Doctor's speech in Battlefield at the end when he confronts Morgaine right when she's about to use the nuclear weapons to win. And it's such a wonderful speech. I actually had to pull out the old notebooks. I have it written down in there. And I love this speech, and it's odd. It's not one of those that gets talked about like the "Do I Have the Right" speech, or the "One Day I Will Come Back" speech, or any of Capaldi's speeches. This one seems to get lost in the show, and it's a shame because it's a great speech. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's the 7th Doctor confronting Morgaine, All over the world, fools are poised, ready to let death fly. Machines of death, Morgaine, screaming from above, light brighter than the sun. Not a war between armies, nor a war between nations, but just death. Death gone mad. A child looks up into the sky, his eyes turn to cinders. No more tears, only ashes. Is this honor? Is this war? Are these the weapons you would use? Tell me! It's such a good speech. You look at everything in there, Not a war between armies, nor a war between nations. Just death. Death gone mad. What a way to describe nuclear warfare and just using a missile to wipe out everything like that. A child, brings a child and a child looks into his eyes turn to cinders. There's a visual picture for you. No more tears, only ashes just falling from his face. Is this honor? Is this war? Because it's established in the episode that Morgaine is from that medieval time where, stereotypically, by movie standards, knights had that sense of honor. Honor was a big thing back then. And it shows us a lot with this with Morgaine. Like when she won't fight the Brigadier when they're having the little funeral ceremony and they're on the holy ground. She's like, when next we meet, we'll be enemies. And then when she pays the tab at the bar by restoring the woman's sight, that, despite her being the villain, and Jean Marsh is phenomenal as the villain, let me say, that she has a sense of honor, and the Doctor, calls her out on that here. He reminds her of that. Is this war? This is just death. This isn't fighting. This isn't honor. This is just mass death for the sake of mass death. And it works. He changes her mind and gets her to deactivate it. She realizes what she's doing isn't honorable. You see her, no, turning it off. And that is, it's a phenomenal speech and a great job by McCoy. He goes into that high falsetto voice right at the end when he's saying, "Tell me," which pulls it down a little. But other than that, it's a fantastic speech that I really, really, really enjoy and feel like doesn't get mentioned enough by the Doctor Who fan community. It's a good one. It's probably his most underrated speech. Any Doctor's most underrated speech in the show. Next on the list is, of course, the Caves of Androzani Episode 3 cliffhanger. Now let me be clear. I know some people are like, best cliffhanger in Doctor Who ever. I don't think that. I don't think it's the best cliffhanger ever. I don't think it's the best cliffhanger in Classic Who. But I think it's a really good cliffhanger, and I do enjoy it. When the guy's sitting there cutting through the wall, pointing a gun at him. My friend's down there, so you see, I'm not going to let you stop me now. And you see it zooming in on the planet, and Davison's just like, it's a great cliffhanger, especially when you pair it with that moment earlier in the episode when he sees what looks like the regeneration energy we see later when he actually regenerates, and he fights it off. He holds it back. He sees that distortion and he kind of stumbles, but then he forces it back. Because we've learned from modern Who that the Doctor can stave off a regeneration. If he's starting to regenerate, he can stave it off for a little bit. And I think this is the Classic Who equivalent of that he's starting to regenerate right there, and he fights it off because he doesn't have time to deal with potential, regeneration instability. He has to worry about saving Perry. So you pair those two moments together, and you really get this character who is fighting as hard as he can, even though he's dying, to try to save his companion and his friend, especially when he hasn't known her that long. I know Big Finish has kind of filled out the void between Planet of Fire and Caves of Androzani since, but when this originally aired, Perry had just joined the story before in Planet of Fire, So this is someone he doesn't even really know that well yet, going just by the TV episodes. And that he's going through so much to save her really makes that ending, that cliffhanger, have a lot of impact for me. Plus, Davison just kills it. He's great in Caves of Androzani, and he just kills it with his dialogue there. Really, really, really good cliffhanger. Just not the best in Classic Who. And we started this list with a famous, fantastic speech by Peter Capaldi. We're going to end this list with a famous, very good speech by Peter Capaldi, and I am, of course, talking about the Zygoon Speech from the Zygoon Inversion. Now, the Zygoon two-parter is not that great to me, to be honest. It's bloated, it's overloaded, it's too long, but my God, is that speech amazing. I know it's like a 10-minute speech, but it's great. Everything I said about Capaldi at the beginning applies here. He just kills it. He is one of the best actors to ever play this character. And the way the speech jumps around, because he talks about several different things in it, but they all flow into each other. And his body language, his facial expression, he just kills it there. Will there be violins? Who's going to make the violins? I love all of that. Let me ask you a question. When you've gotten rid of all the bad guys, and you've gotten everything just what you like, and everything's just right, what are you going to do with the people like you, the troublemakers? I love all of that. All of that. It's not a game. When you fire that first shot, you have no idea who's going to die, whose children will scream and burn, how much blood will be spilled, how many lives will be shattered before everybody does what they were always going to have to do in the first place: sit down and talk. My God, what he puts into that is simply amazing. This is one speech that you could actually use in real life. Think of all the wars and all the circumstances and protest fights that have broken out in the real world that you could use this speech. You know, war is breaking out and you're like, all right, I need somebody to get up and quote that speech. You know, sit down and talk. You know, all that bit about, you know, I just want you to think, you know what that is? Just a fancy word for changing your mind. I'm not going to change my mind. Well, then you will die stupid. I love all of that. And when he realizes he's convinced her not to do it, that smile on his face when he looks at her and he's just like, gotcha. I love that. You know, I have an advantage. I know that face. I love all of that. That is just, again, one of the best moments in Doctor Who. And again, the dialogue is amazing, but Capaldi, what he does with the dialogue is just, it's magic. That is one of those scenes that will just give you goosebumps every time you see it. Especially considering it's so long. It's not even like short. It is long, but it is amazing. And even though the 12th Doctor is not one of my top tier doctors, I mean, he is more in the middle for me. Especially in that series. Capaldi is definitely one of the best actors to ever play the character, and he just sells it here. It's a phenomenal piece of Doctor Who, and I love it. It's not worth sitting through the whole two-parter for, but I love to YouTube and watch it on. I just pop it up on YouTube and watch it there, and it's phenomenal. That's been another 5 moments in Doctor Who that just make me want to fist punch the air because they are so amazing and so awesome, and I love them. I would like to know what you think of these moments, and perhaps 5 moments that you enjoyed. Not necessarily your top 5, just 5 moments you really love. So comment down below and let me know other things to do. Click the like button, click the subscribe button. If you like the channel and have been watching the channel for a while and haven't subscribed yet, I want today to be the day I earn that subscription. That helps me out because it always makes my day when I see the count go up. So my goal is to eventually hit 1,000. We're slowly working our way to that. So every single one is appreciated. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you would like to send me, my P.O. box is down in the description below. I also have an Amazon wish list. A link to that is down below as well. I've added some stuff to that. Some Big Finish stuff I've added on there. Some non-Doctor Who stuff I'm interested in, like a Battlestar Galactica set. Man, it's got everything. It's got like the original Galactica, the 2000s Galactica, Galactica 1980, all of the like Battlestar Galactica Razor. It's got like everything. Like, it blows my mind. Like some Buck Rogers stuff. I finally got the Quester tapes on there. Not the Quester tapes, what is it called? Quatermass and the Pit, that's it. I have always wanted to see Quatermass and the Pit because I constantly hear that so much of like 60s and 70s Doctor Who pulls from Quatermass and the Pit. Matter of fact, I was watching Frontios recently, And they reference Quatermass in the Pit in the making of, when I was watching the behind the scenes things. They mention Quatermass in the Pit. I hear this all the time. I don't know what all this is. Is it a movie, a series of movies, a TV show? I know there's like a 58 movie, a 67 remake, which I think was the US version, and I always hear the 58 one's better. And I think that's the one I have on the Amazon wish list. It's like the 2018 Blu-ray release of the 58 one, I think. It's really confusing to keep up with all this when you're not in the UK. I'm in the States. But I really want to see that, because if it's that strong of an influence on Doctor Who, especially amazing 60s, 70s Doctor Who, then it's something I want to see. Especially just so I'll know what they're talking about when they reference it. So I have that on there. And then I have a few other collectibles on there. Like I think I've added a couple more Doctor Who DVDs on there. I've put like some Super 7 Ninja Turtles I collect on there. Stuff like that. Just if it's something that interests you. That went on longer than I anticipated. But I really wanted to talk about Quatermass in the Pit. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There is a link to that down in the description below. I am trying to get in the habit of getting an exclusive video up every week for just my patrons for like the $10 tier and up. There are exclusive polls I do every now and then. I do early access to videos sometimes, stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, or if you just want to do it to help me out, I certainly appreciate that. Most importantly though, thank you for watching.